Welcome to Rewatch-and-Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is Bleach, Agent of the Shinigami Arc, Episode 12, A Gentle Right Arm. The episode in a nutshell is just a brief reminder of exactly what happens within this episode. So once again, the episode picks up directly where the previous one left off, with Ishida having challenged Ichigo to a duel, and Ichigo, of course, isn't really happy with that idea and is kind of wanting to deny a competition, but Ishido basically gives him no choice by bringing out hollow bait, which when he breaks it, ends up luring multiple hollows into the town where there are a bunch of innocents, and Ishida tells Ichigo not to worry because hollows have a tendency to just attack people with strong spiritual pressure, which of course makes Ichigo go running to save Yuzu and Karen, not realizing that there are many people around him who have strong spiritual pressure, which then we basically cut to seeing Karen playing some soccer with friends. Then we cut to Tatsuki, who it is revealed was able to see ghosts since the incident at Inoue's house with Inoue's brother becoming a hollow and attacking them. It also, of course, shows Inoue being able to kind of see the sky changing with the luring of the hollows. And then within this episode, our main person who is going to evolve, is the best way I think to say it, will be Sato, who, of course, while he's out with some friends, happens to see a hollow land in front of him, and at first he just sees it as kind of like a blurry shape, but he soon realizes that it is after him and not his friends because he's the one with the higher spiritual pressure, so he starts to run away from it. Ichigo is running around trying to find Karen and Yuzu, going to their school first, but finding that they aren't there yet, or anymore, I should say. And then we also do get an aside with Rukia being at Urahara's shop, and her cell phone keeps going off and then stopping, going off, stopping, going off, stopping, because it keeps sensing the multiple hollows, which then Ishida and Ichigo are getting rid of. And then Sato eventually does lead the hollow away from his friends and to a park, however happens to be the park that Karen was playing soccer in. And she's able to see the hollow completely clearly, whereas he's still seeing it blurry, so she helps him at first to dodge the hollow back and forth, but then he does end up getting hit by it, and while he's lying there, he has a flashback to his grandfather telling him that, he's big, he's strong, and he has to, use that strength to protect people. That's the reason he was given it, not to harm people. And so, with a desire to protect, he then is able to defeat the Hollow by evolving his arm into an armored attack arm that is capable of killing it. And then we end the episode on a brief cliffhanger of Inoue with Tatsuki and another friend cleaning up some broken glass at the school, and then she happens to glance up at the school's roof, and there's a blurry figure that's slowly coming into focus, which is another hollow, and that is where we end it. And now that I've rewatched the episode, I'm now going to rank the episode on our two lists. Our first list is a mostly objective ranking, which is absent emotion, and then the personal ranking, which is the emotional ranking. So as always, we start with our mostly objective rank values, and I've highlighted the ones I felt applied to this episode. So we start with our multi-arc supporting character development, and this is worth 3 points, and this is the fact that Tatsuki has been able to see ghosts ever since the attack at Inoue's house by Inoue's hollowified brother, who Ichigo was able to save. She doesn't fully remember the day it is revealed, but She does have memories of it as sort of like a dream sequence that are incomplete, but she does, of course, know that she was scared, that she was in pain, and that she had thought it was a dream, but then the next day when she had spoken with Inoue, Inoue says that she had had the same dream, so she knows it was something more, but again can't remember it fully clearly. However, ever since then, she has been able to see ghosts that just happen to wander around. And then we also, of course, get our multi-arc main character growth as our next piece, which is worth 4 points. And this, of course, is the fact that Sato's arm evolves into his armored arm, which is allowing him to defeat a hollow that is chasing him and Karen's friends who aren't able to even sense the fact that there is a hollow there and are completely confused by the entire event. Our next positive from that is, of course, our world building aspect, which is the fact that the Quincy, who are Ishida's ancestors, had created hollow bait, which looks kind of like a coin when he first holds it up, and then he kind of shatters it and it turns into dust. And from the moment that he does that, multiple holos arrive. We have Ichigo killing, like he counts 3 and then kills a few more after that. Ishida also is counting as he's using his arrows, and he counts all the way up to 11, so clearly there were a lot there. Obviously, we have the one that Sato killed, and then the one that's at the cliffhanger that's on top of the school. So basically, Hollow Bait, very effective. It brings them all to the town. And so for our positive score so far, we have 11 points total. However, there obviously and most reasonably is a negative for this episode. And that is, of course, the fact that Ishida, because he hates Shinigami and therefore on principle hates Ichigo, even though Ichigo's just a substitute Shinigami who's always had strong spiritual pressure, even before he became a Shinigami. He hates him so much that he is willing to put the entire town and everyone in it, including people who are his classmates, including family, friends, etc., into danger just to have this little pissing contest with Ichigo about who can kill more hollows and who's more powerful and blah blah blah. Like, obviously, if it was just like them having a fight back and forth, that kind of duel, which is kind of what we thought was going to happen at the end of the last episode, that would have been fine. You know, it's men being men, they're big, strong, they've got to prove who's stronger, blah blah blah. Fine. But in this case, the way he went about it puts a lot of people into danger, and he seemingly has no care for that, nor no remote, nor any remorse for his actions in this case, which obviously isn't great. And that is why he loses 2 points for the episode, which brings our episode to a 9 out of 10 final score for our mostly objective list. So, as a reminder of our mostly objective rankings for this arc so far, in first place we have The Day I Became a Shinigami, The Shinigami's Work, The Older Brother's Wish, The Younger Sister's Wish, Fight to the Death, Ichigo vs. Ichigo, June 17th, Memories in the Rain, Unbeatable Enemy, Greetings from a Stuffed Lion. This episode is in 8th place with A Gentle Right Arm, then The Legendary Quincy, Beat the Invisible Enemy, Casual Soul Realm Assault Trip, and then in 12th, Cursed Parakeet. So now it's time for the personal ranking. Overall, I felt that this was a good episode. I did kind of miss the comedic undertone, which often follows through with the series. But in the case of this episode, because something big is unleashed, because we are starting a lot of the character growth sort of segment and we've had our introductions to everybody, I feel like it suited this episode to not bring in that comedic element as it often does in other episodes. So anytime that there's like a battle anime, an anime that has a lot of like fighting in it, the one thing I love the most is whenever the characters are able to grow and unlock new attacks because it's always very interesting when they do. And I always like that upping the ante sort of idea. So I did like how we finally get some character growth with a side character that we know is going to become a main character. And as we know in the future, Sato does play a large role with Ichigo and Inoue and Ishida, who kind of become a sort of team. We get the kind of enemies to friends thing with Ichida and Ichigo, which is starting right now. And of course, Ishida's behavior was really poorly thought out because I'm fairly certain he also has probably friends and family, though he does seem like a bit of a loner, so maybe that's why he doesn't care as much that he's put literally everybody in the town in danger. Ichigo was mostly useless in this episode. He was running around. He was killing hollows as he came across them, but he was trying to find Karen and Uzu and failed to do so. So, I mean, his purpose in this episode was a failure. But that's okay because Shadow managed to find Karen, and now he is able to see hollows clearly. His spiritual power has increased. He's managed to unlock his own special talent, special power, which is, of course, his gentle left arm, which is a black with red racing stripes, like the side of a race car sort of armor that like sticks up at the shoulder. On the one hand, it looks cool. On the other hand, it also looks kind of bulky. But it is able to kill hollows, most likely through spiritual, like his strong spiritual pressure in the attack. And he was known for his strength, so it does suit the character. And as I said, I always enjoy when characters grow. I like the kind of interaction that he had with Karen, with her kind of riding on his back, telling him where the hollow was before he was able to see it, and how it was protecting her and the other innocent children. That helped him to grow. I also like the bit of foreshadowing with regards to Inoue, as she's also able to, it looks like, is beginning to be able to see the hollows. Um, like I said, it's an entertaining episode. Its purpose was the character growth of Shadow, which it managed to do. Wasn't as entertaining as some other episodes because obviously the decision, like what Ishida did, is sitting poorly with me. Like, I don't love that. None of the other characters really had much to do with the episode. I do like that we are aware of Tatsuki being able to see ghosts, but at the same time, she also doesn't become one of the main characters, so I'm kind of like, well, why did we need to know that? Does it matter? And have I just forgotten because it's been so long since I originally watched the series? Does she become important later? Because I know Inoue, Zato, and Ishida and Ichigo, they do a lot. They are basically the main core group that does the battles and stuff. Rukia comes and goes. Some of the other Shinigami in the future will come and go through, but they're like the core of it. So Tatsuki being able to see ghosts, but then she doesn't evolve any powers, at least to my memory. I'm kind of like, cool factoid that we know that now, but does it matter? Is it going to be important later and I have just forgotten? Unsure. Either way, though, I felt that it was above average. It was a good episode. Like I said, I love character growth, so I decided to rate it a 7 out of 10. And that brings our arc rankings so far on our personal ranking to in first place, Casual Soul Realm Assault Trip, which is my favorite. That was a very good episode. Then we have The Older Brother's Wish, The Younger Sister's Wish, Beat the Invisible Enemy. This episode fell into fourth place so far, which was a gentle right arm. We have the legendary Quincy, the Shinigami's work, Cursed Parakeet, Unbeatable Enemy, June 17th, Memories in the Rain, The Day I Became a Shinigami, Greetings from a Stuffed Lion, and then the least favorite so far, Fight to the Death, Ichigo versus Ichigo. And that brings us to the final segment of the video, which is, of course, our series ranking so far, where we are ranking each of the arcs against each other. And on our mostly objective ranking, the Agent of the Shinigami arc has so far accumulated 105 points out of a maximum possible score of 200, and then the personal side has only gotten 77 points out of 200 so far. And with that, we've now rewatched and ranked Bleach Agent of the Shinigami Arc, Episode 12, A Gentle Right Arm. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.